2020 has been challenging, different, unprecedented, but it's been interesting to witness how my body and mind adapt to all the uncertainties and changes. As Marcus Aurelius once said, our life is what our thoughts make it. So if you want to change your life, try to change how you see it. In an attempt to look at the dready year in a different light, I want to share with you 5 important things that I learned. So the first one would be, I allow myself to slow down. At the beginning of the year, this practice has been quite difficult because the competitive side of me always feel the urge to rush things. Somehow I always thought that speeding up means being ahead. But then when the world were put at halt, everything was forced to slow down. This situation sort of reminds me of that film X-Men, especially the scene where Peter Maximoff, the Quicksilver, was on a quest to break Magneto from the high-level prison. The exact scene that I would remember was when they got out of the lift into the kitchen, they were faced by a bunch of cooks and guards who are so ready to take them down with guns and knives. And once they started to fire those weapons, we could see how time sort of slowed down, and Peter saved them all by sort of dodging the knives or changing the directions of the bullets so they wouldn't hit our mutants. And I think this scene is interesting is because it's sort of what's happening now. It's the world's slowing down, and we could somehow use it to take our time to identify all the threats, or for our case, pain or discontentment that we are feeling. With this notion, with this realization, I sort of slowly learned to take my time to pause and think before reacting. The second one is self-observation helps me get to know myself. One of the books that I managed to finish was How to Stay Sane by Philippa Perry. I was feeling out of my mind and stressed and just out of sorts. This book literally lived up to my expectation, if not more. In this video, I want to share one of the amazing things that the book taught me. It's about self-observation. It's a practice to explore your emotions and feelings when you have it. The book taught us to ask 5 questions. Maybe as you're listening to this, you could try to think about one intense emotion that you've been feeling lately. And then the next step would be question those feelings. That's to sort of reach out to our minds. For me, it was a feeling of either insecurity or discontentment or fear that sometimes surged in me when I scroll up and down social media. Right out of the bed, we're gonna identify that those are not positive feeling. They don't spark positive energy. So it's quite uncomfortable. And then the next one is, what am I thinking right now? That's to reach out to a more logical side of us. Often I experience this weird feeling of discontentment and sadness when I see somebody achieve something. I would probably think that how life is unfair. I would start to blame myself for not trying hard enough or not working hard enough. But when I tried to start connecting those feelings and my thoughts, I started to understand what sort of things battling inside my mind. And then next, we ask ourselves, what am I doing at this moment? This is something that we usually sort of miss out. It's to connect again to the activity that triggers those emotions. Obviously, scrolling social media. So instead of blaming it to them, maybe the root of all this uncomfortable feeling is actually the activity that I'm doing right now. And then the fourth one is, how am I breathing? You reach out to your sensoric experience and to how your body is experiencing that feeling. So the main key is not that social media is bad, because obviously it contains lots of great things that you can learn from, or you can learn different perspectives from, but it's just nice to realize that it also has side effects, and it's even nicer to be able to manage those side effects so you could continue to gain benefits from the platform but also preserve your own sanity. So these realizations brings me to a solution that I had regarding social media, which is, turned out I found that we're able to actually turn off the pop-up notifications. So I started to turn off my likes, comments, and DM notification. And the impact on me has been positive. I've started to feel that now I have both of my hands on the steering wheel. So when I scroll Twitter and I started to get angry or I started to become upset, I just stopped and left. And when I feel calm and want to seek some perspectives and stuff again, I could then open it again with a breezier mind. I cannot control how Twitter could be, but I could control how it affects me. Point number 3 is, I changed the way I see productivity. I could say it's a journey. And the previous 2 points definitely has a share in helping me realize this. I've been subscribing to Darius Foro's newsletter, and one day I read an article that he wrote related to productivity. It's about goals and system. The key point of this article is, in order to achieve a goal, you have to sort of break it down to steps by steps of efforts that you're in control of doing, so you could measure the progress. For example, this is personally mine, and this is something that I managed to achieve. On the surface, and probably it's so that it's easier for myself to visualize, digest, and act on, is to lose weight. I had been on diets before and it hasn't been working very well until I came across this theory of mindful eating. The idea of mindful eating is to be present during the experience of eating. So you're aware of the smell, you're aware of the textures of it, you're aware of the combination of all the taste that's happening inside your mouth. The main intention of being aware is so that your body remembers that you have eaten and so that you could appreciate food more. For a long time, my biggest problem has been binge eating, and this becomes more intense when I feel stressed. And the problem with binge eating is my body becomes so accustomed of temporary fixes and just instant relief, which makes me begs for more once I finished a snack. So that's why it's never ending. I came across this app called MyFitnessPal, where it could help me to count my calories. This practice of tracking helps me be aware of all the things that I've been consuming and how much food that I consume in a day. It's been really helpful for me. I feel more in control of myself. Well, while I was on a journey to reach my goal, there's also other things that I didn't expect to practice, which is self-control and self-restraint. And turned out this is something that I should have been working on for a while now. So instead of setting a goal that's reward oriented, the most important thing to plan out is we need to create a sort of system so that we could keep track of the progress and adjust ourselves to be more consistent with it. Now the fourth point would be connecting with people as part of my self-care. Interpersonal connections has been one of the things that's been keeping me motivated and happy throughout life. I know maybe for some people this is weird, but being able to get to know people and being able to exchange thoughts with people has been helping me so much to keep going. But during 2020, all the activities that usually gets me to meet new people becomes so limited. But thankfully, some friends of mine started to form these safe space sharing sessions. This turned me into a big believer of how a supportive safe space sharing session could connect people on a deeper level and could make people feel heard and could help people exchange perspectives in a less harsh way. This has been personally helped me to slowly accept myself and accept the situation. And the most important thing is makes me feel less alone, way less alone. But I guess one important thing that I want to point out is that these connections were made with people who are committed to the conversation and committed to be respectful and to listen and be supportive. So these kinds of environments definitely helped me to feel that I belong and helped me to reflect on things. And if you have, different questions toward life, you could figure out the answers together. So understanding and being understood, listening and being heard could have such a huge impact on myself. Number 5 is taking extra measures to pursue my interest. This is especially related to point number 1, which is realizing that we have more time now, and this is sort of the next step from it, which is using that extra time to explore things that I wouldn't manage to explore during my old normal. This is also related to instead of waiting for opportunities to come to you, you try to look for those opportunities. For a while, I have always been interested in public speaking. I have always thought that I'm good at conversations, but when it comes to expressing my ideas into words and delivering it or conveying it in a more systematic ways so that people would understand my point, it has always been a struggle for me. I used to blame myself because of it, but I just realized that I haven't been trying because I haven't been finding a platform that would help me to do that. And then I came across Toastmasters, and finally I started to attend them and commit to them, which would push me to learn how it works. This process of pursuing my interests sort of helped me to take my minds off of all the dreads. Not all, probably, but at least occupy my minds with more positive things and actually get myself to do the things that I'm actually probably capable of, but because I haven't tried, I didn't know that. Turns out I'm able to do it. And now we finally reached the conclusion part. I want to make the closing of this video to be helpful for you, because let's face it, maybe some of you just don't have time to watch the rest of the video, so you just jump to the end, just like what I usually do. So I want this part to be worthwhile for you. Overall, the main thing that's really helped me to reach or get to these 5 points in the first place was a realization and putting in effort to be more present with what's happening and be more present with how I experience things internally. There are often times that I was unhappy. Turns out it was because I always chase the standards that are out in the world. When I finally accept that everyone's timelines are different, I stopped blaming myself. I tried to identify things that I could improve more. When you're aware of yourself and your body, and you sort of be able to feel every inch of it, and you would start to appreciate it, because you know how much efforts you've been putting to just get out of the bed in the morning and motivate yourself to move on. With that realizations, you would start to open yourself to improvements in a less painful way. You would start to improve because that's just part of growth. And hopefully we all reach where we want to be in the end with a smile on our face. And even though it's going to be hard, and even though the process would definitely not be smooth sailing, you would be there, you would go through that because you want to go through that, not because other people do that too. So I guess at the end of the day, the most important person that you have to listen to is yourself. And obviously, the people that cares about you. Kalau teman-teman tertarik dengan ide tentang safe space sharing session, tapi teman-teman merasa bingung gimana memulai, bisa kirim email ke anisasreveries@gmail.com. Itu aku tulis juga di video description. Kita nanti bisa arrange bareng-bareng untuk nanti kalau misalnya ternyata cukup orang terkumpul, aku bisa kontak kalian lagi dan kita bisa mulai arrange. What I shared in these videos are the things that worked for me and the things that I realized for myself. If you want to share your thoughts and if you want to explore more, if you have any questions, please do share them on the comment section below. I would so appreciate you for taking your time to watch this. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.